What's your favorite way to subtly mess with people? At work, there's a file on the computer for printing off employee name tags. They're very basic and will just say their name was store assistant, or whatever their role is underneath. I started going onto the file and slightly changing their names, then replacing their name tags when they leave them in the staff room, then seeing how long it'll take them to notice. Heather, the assistant manager, was Heater, the ass-stank manager, for 4 whole days before someone pointed it out. Where I live, there's this walking path that's about 5 miles. It's alongside a main road. Since I ride my bike a lot, I've had a chance to explore, and I discovered that there are plenty of loops and trails within the perimeter of that walking path. But most people in the area just know about the main path, and don't know about these loops, or how long they are. So they just walk around the circle. When I'm on my bike, and I see people walking the perimeter, I'll pass them and then do one of the inner loops for 5 to 10 minutes, then I'll go back out on the main road. Then I'll pass the walkers I saw minutes ago. And I'll do it again and again. More than once I've heard someone say, "How did she get behind us again?" Like it's some glitch in the Matrix. Occasionally, if my coworker is having a bad day, I will say to her, "At least we only have 3 hours left." So recently, when we are down to our last 10 to 20 minutes, I tell her, "At least we only have 2 hours left." And she freaks out and looks at the clock. I like to think I'm being helpful, but she doesn't always see it that way. Someone leaves gnomes in my parents' garden. We still don't know who, but every time they have a big gathering it happens. I like the fact that it's during gatherings, and not just random happenstance. Random happenstance, somebody could be sneaking in and doing it while they're not there. But if it's happening during gatherings, then somebody is smuggling gnomes into a crowd, and that's simply a beautiful thought. Someone they know is smuggling gnomes. This is not just some random weirdo. Oh no. Someone they know, someone they invite to parties, exchange Christmas cards with, someone they probably think is a perfectly sensible adult with an opinion on the economy, and which wine to have with dinner, is secretly a gnome smuggler. I tell people, "No hablo inglés," when they try to stop me on the street and sell me something while speaking Spanish. They get confused for a moment, and I slip away. Edit for context. I'm Latina living in a Dominican neighborhood in NYC where Spanish is the dominant language. This is the conversational version of a smoke bomb. Grab a few friends, put your arms around each other, all face one direction and smile. People crossing your path in public will notice you and think they're walking through a picture you're taking. They get very confused when they see there's no one taking a picture of you, and you just smile and stare. Also wear the same clothing, preferably a robe, while doing it. Congratulations, you are now a cult. I like to replace my roommate's sock drawer with his underwear drawer. I just pull them both out and switch him. I've been doing it for a week now, and he's starting to lose it. Better yet, find some pairs of his brand that are off a size and slip them in. The KGB did this to people. It started by moving a spoon or a photograph. Eventually you become unhinged from reality. In my old days as a server, I would sneak packs of mustard into coworkers' pockets or aprons. I was eventually found out and titled the Mustard Man. Back when I worked at GameStop, we would get a surprising amount of prank phone calls. My favorite way of dealing with these hooligans was to just pretend I couldn't hear them. More than a few times I've gotten some kid to scream, "Battletoads," before hanging up on them. Back in '99, just before the Y2K scare, my buddy worked there and would get calls like that all the time. He would pick up the phone when they called and not say anything for a second to see if he could hear any snickering before saying the store greeting. If he could tell it was going to be a prank call, he would start the greeting and then congratulate them on being the lucky caller that would receive a free game for calling. All they had to do was come down and pick it up. Sounds stupid, but it worked every time. When the kids showed up to get the free game, he would have them pose with the game they chose, take their picture with the Polaroid camera, take the game from them, and then ask, "How does it feel to be pranked? Stop calling the store and get out." He kept the pictures to hang on the back wall to warn other employees of the shitheads who prank call them. Probably wasn't legal, but knowing those kids prank backfired on them is pretty funny. I'm going a little old school on this one. Wearing a shiny watch and beaming sunlight into people's eyes who I don't particularly care for. I just use my phone screen. Having a disagreement with someone and then say, "Yeah, okay, you're right," and walking away. Leave them with some argument blue balls. I like to pretend I don't know what a simple word means and have them explain it. Also, staring just past their head makes people always look. On Monday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. wearing the same clothes, I'd go into the same 7 to 11, get the same thing, greet the same cashier the same way, and always ask him, "Is there a bathroom I could use?" I did that for 3.5 months. The poor man. Honestly, if that happened to me, I would just think the person was autistic and not give it further consideration. If people are tailgating me while driving, I'll spray my windshield wiper to clean my windshield. Nothing makes me laugh harder than seeing the car behind me wipe off their windshields because the spray hits their vehicle. If I'm watching TV and a telemarketer rings, I sound polite and interested but keep asking them to hold on for a minute and keep watching TV. I then apologize and repeat soon after. This can go on for a long time. I do this to those scam calls that say they are the Microsoft Security Department, or whatever. I will pretend I'm trying to follow their instructions to give them remote access, and string them along for as long as I can. Then at the end I'll be like, "Oh, I've figured out the problem, I'm on a Mac." If I really want to be stupid, I'll say, "I don't even have a computer, this is a microwave." They usually get pretty angry before hanging up. I'm a very tall fellow. People frequently ask me about it. So I've taken to telling them I'm 5 feet 17 inches. Most people get too confused by the math to continue talking to me. Win-win. When walking past them on the street, stare right at them and say, "I don't know if you can hear me, but please wake up." This would mess me up so bad. You're evil, but honestly, that's hilarious. As a schizophrenic, you are my worst fear. And what I always hope is happening. Every now and then, I swap locations of cutlery in my kitchen. For the next few days, my housemates will be getting out a knife and spoon for a meal or a fork for a coffee, and they don't know why. One time for April Fool's, my son and I switched the plate cupboard with the cup cupboard. It fucked my wife up for months. She'd just be in there, like 3 months later, and you'd hear her open something, and then she'd yell, "Really, guys?" Ring a friend from a payphone, say, "It's done, meet me at location," again, and never let anyone know what happened, in a nervous voice, and hang up before they can respond. Next time you see them, casually ask if they'd like to hang out in the location from the call, and if they ask if you were behind the call, feign all ignorance. Many years ago, before digital cameras were a thing, I and a friend were traveling around Europe. We would find a likely tourist family, and follow them around surreptitiously, trying to be in the background of as many photos as possible. We were fairly inconspicuous, but I always hoped that when they got home and developed the photos that they would wonder about those two people who happened to be in every single photo they took. I once recorded my chickens fighting, and using a thing a friend of mine rigged up from an old motion-sensing Furby, made so that any time people entered my workplace, the sound of a chicken fight breaking out went off. I say something, and if they aren't paying attention and ask what I said, I act as though I never said anything. By the 3rd or 4th time this happens, they put themselves on edge, second-guessing themselves over whether they're hearing things or not. Sometimes I'll just stop talking at random points during a conversation. Like I'll move my mouth but cut out the middle part of the sentence. My uncle did this to my grandma on a family vacation once, and it fucked with her so bad that she honest to God thought she was losing her hearing. I'm hiding nickels all in more and more conspicuous areas in a colleague's office, driving them crazy. The first few were just on their desk, then in their drawers, on the floor of the office, taped to the back of their computer, wedged into the wheels of their chair, etc., etc. Before I left on Friday, I taped a nickel to the bottom of her wireless mouse. This has been going on for a few months already, and it's the best $1.30 I've ever spent. I just say things that don't add up with what they asked. Like, "How are you today?" Yeah, sounds dumb, but it annoys the shit out of people, and it's hilarious. "Where are you from?" 2 o'clock. "Do you need anything?" Okay. I live in Japan, and as a white foreigner, people don't think I speak Japanese. I work the same shitty job that most fresh off the boat, English-speaking, foreigners work in Japan, which is teaching English. I am not allowed to speak Japanese in my school, and so I will often hear students and staff talking about me or my classes in the lobby, usually good or neutral chatter. I have recently taken to responding to their Japanese in English. For example, student, "Teacher's class was fun today, she was full of energy." Me, "Oh wow, really? Thank you, Hanako. They will usually say something like, oh wow, teacher speaks Japanese, in Japanese, to which I will respond in English. What? I don't speak Japanese. It's really dumb, but it's a nice form of entertainment during the grind, and I can usually keep the charade up for a few minutes before it gets stale. I tell people, no sneezing, when they sneeze. It confuses the shit out of people who realize I didn't say, bless you. Pick up furniture that is left on the curb or something like that. Then find some house that is being moved into, and when no one is looking, drop off the furniture in their house. They will now forever wonder where the hell this table come from. Whenever someone comes to shake my hand, I move my hand slightly to the left. All it takes is a little movement, and they completely miss my hand. What's your favorite way to subtly fuck with people? Leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.